So this panel discussion is focusing on improving access to clean drinking water through disruptive technologies. The moderator for this session is Mr. Shailesh Shankar, Manager Sales Engineering Asia Pacific from Maxar Technologies. And the panelists, we have Dr. Devpriya Datta. He is the head seed from Department of Science and Technology, Mr. Rajesh Kalara, Director O&M Orange City Water, and Mr. Ajay Divakar, General Manager Jal Nigam, Madhya Pradesh. Dr. Datta is just joining in. He's having some technical issues joining in, but in the meanwhile, I think Shailesh, you can begin the conversation. Over to you, Shailesh.
Thank you, Megha. And welcome everyone to this extremely important session. So from a, I would be actually wasting time if I talk about how important this session is, primarily from a perspective of clean access to clean drinking water, right? And with the geospatial technology, with the overall data policy actually having changed, I'm sure the amount of data that we can actually provide to this to enable this delivery of water to every door is going to be critical. If you see the Jal Jeevan mission, what is the most critical aspect of this is to have a comprehensive a data set where each and every source of water is mapped to the every delivery point. Once you know that where the source to the delivery point is, then everything else is about planning. And you're planning about which is the low hanging fruits, which areas you want to cover first, second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth. I will not dwell too much into this. This whole session is a very unique one, and especially in terms of utilizing how we can bring in disruptive technologies. One disruption our honorable minister already did this Monday, so that's great with the data coming in. But now let's hear from the panelists in terms of what are the different disruptions that is possible in this, and how we can make this very, very unique and typical problem that we have, how of making water available, how we can make this happen. So why don't you begin your presentation, sir?
As I've been told to me by Megha, like there is no presentations. I will put my, the view on that, because the topic is the improving access to cleaning water, drinking water through disruptive technologies. But coming from the government side, I thought that let me put it these disruptive technology introductions not as in point interventions, but to the whole system level, like how the where are the opportunities. So in order to do that, like what we are discussing today about the quality of the water, because as you know that in the context of India, almost around the waterborne diseases, it has a burden of around 600 million US dollar in a year in India. The other the main challenges in the context of the the water supply is our rapid groundwater depletions, because in the India is like the among the highest users of these resources, and about 30 million access points in the groundwater. It supplies around 85% of drinking water in rural areas, and the demand constraints. Let us look at it into the governance context, that where do we put the drinking water? As per the constitutions, the drinking water is the purview of the right to life under Article 21.5. So the point what I wanted to bring is that like when this the introduction in the context of this clean drinking water access, we must look at it into the whole ecosystem wise. Therefore, I just wanted to start it with like what is the, as all of you know, like water is mostly a state subject, but when it comes to the drinking water, which mostly we are depending upon the groundwater. And because in case of the the India, that 85% of the drinking water in rural area, 48% of the water requirement in the urban areas takes place from the groundwater. And in the case of the state laws, basically the institutional arrangement is there are these corporations and the boards who are basically responsible for bringing this in the urban areas, bringing the the water supply to the urban areas. Regarding the rural area, that recently the Ministry of the Jal Shakti has started a Swajal program, like which is for the empowering community in terms of the plan, design, implement, and monitor, the drinking water supply, which is targeting toward the 117 aspirational districts in about, in 28 states. Why I'm saying is, like, first, if you have to have an, any technology first, like, where since this discussion being organized by the AGI, and that what the business for the industry is. So for that, like, the point what I'm trying to raise is that in the urban area, it's the, this corporations or the Jal Sansthaans, but in the rural area, that where it is more, it is not organized, but there is a bigger opportunity now, like, as government is experimenting. Now, if we look at it into these innovatives or disruptive technologies for the market opportunity, let us not look at it only from a geospatial technology or not. Because let's be very clear that even if you say geospatial technology, because I'm in this geospatial technology for the last 3 decades, but you cannot make it as in, like one of the technologies, because the drinking water supply, the role of geospatial technology is one component of this total supply chain. My suggestions would be to look at it across the the system perspective and look it into that where are the business opportunities. So the number one business opportunity, what I find it is the conserving and the recovering of the energy itself. Why? Many of the nations, the older water systems, it lack the energy efficiency improvements. That can, if we can improve that, that make our system, more sustainable, and we can save, money. Because here, the geospatial technology can help in identifying them, as Kalraji was talking about. Like, there will be some on the surface and some of the subsurface. The subsurface and surface, that is an opportunity or the geospatial technology bring. And with the the day before yesterday's this announcement of these guidelines, it is now talking about improving the data accuracy, and the data accuracy's improvement government itself cannot do, and there you need a new technology through the the industry, which is talking about on-site spatial accuracies of more than 1 meter in horizontal or planimetry and 3 meters of verticals on the elevations. And in case of the water, where at a regional level, because in a drinking water supply, it is not a point activity. It is a part of your big regional level, basin level, watersheds, sub-watersheds are now coming at a, the household level. It has a linkage with the regional level studies also, and where the disruptive technologies like CRESS, which uses the gravity anomaly to understands the total water, the balance of the water mass changes. Gravity anomaly has a big role and a big market. As you know, the CRESS is the satellite which has been launched by USA and the Germany, and the department, from the Department of Science and Technology, we have an CRESS center at the NGRI, and we're trying to develop its application. And now this new, guideline says the gravity anomaly should be 1 milligauss. Then there is this linkage of these drinking water supply is also mainly with the groundwater aquifer, and the groundwater aquifer, when it comes into the we have a huge shoreline. So there is the shoreline means the bathymetric data has a big linkage with these, the drinking water in the shore areas. So the opportunity which this guideline gives about all the vertical accuracy of bathymetric data in territorial water shall be 10 meters per up to 500 meters from the shoreline and 100 meters beyond that. So these are the opportunity boundary it creates for this, the new businesses for the industry. The next opportunity in terms of this drinking water it brings is recovering nutrients. All of us know that in our urban as well as in the rural areas, the water system is getting, the polluted, and it's basically of the use of the, the nitrogen fertilizers into our crop system that is going into the, the water system. So the using of the pollution from the industrial agriculture operation, which is impacted ecological health, there can be the opportunity of the business of recovering it and supplying a local level good quality water. So what I'm putting into that, disruptive when we are thinking of, we have to think in a new way of the business. Next would be the improving and greening of the water infrastructure.
Dr. Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Datta, if you can keep speaking towards the mic.
Okay.
When you look on the other side, the voice goes down.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So improving and greening of the water infrastructure, because obviously, like logically, we cannot immediately all replace. So we have to depend upon the legacy in infrastructures. So with the how we can identify the health of the water infrastructure, because identifying itself is the first stage by using geospatial technologies, the new technology, and then we can retrofit, we can improve or replace the older systems, because most of the cases, whatever the water supply takes place in the subsurface levels, we do it is like in mostly the blind system, because that's a big opportunity for the private sector to create that infrastructure. The fourth is the conserving and eventually reusing the water, like as already the Kalraji was talking about, that with the increased water demand, especially the cities and the states, we have to have an opportunity to create along with this, like what we are talking about, the circular economy. And water is the first requirement that which can strengthen the circular economy and can strengthen the SDG 6, which is talking about that the efficiency in the water systems, reducing cost and improving techniques for water monitoring. Here, the role of the disruptive technologies are the most. We know it about, we have the monitoring through sensors. We have a different sensing technologies which represents like the different aspect, different value chain of this water supply and the water, the water extractions and the water supply. Here we have to think it not only as the system application. The most difficult part of the and the opportunity for these technology applications of the water supply is our sensor system itself. If you see that more of our sensor systems are imported, and it's imported from Taiwan, where it is a cottage industry. So this is an opportunity, because we have to think it as a whole value chain. It is not only the geospatial technology or another technology.
So sorry for interruption. If you could conclude your presentation.
Yeah, I'm going to send it with 2 more points. So the other opportunity for the industry is to improve the small drinking water systems. You cannot, it's a huge, our disaggregated populations. You cannot do it in the structured, the supply systems. So this is an opportunity that where the small type of the drinking water system, we can, we have to. There is another opportunity that where the impact of the climate change. Against that, the resiliency of the water supply infrastructures we can generate, where again geospatial technology can can play an important role. And the last point is improving the access to the safe drinking and the water and the sanitations, because whatever said and done, whatever the government the programs we have, still that remains the core of the challenges, that how we can improve the access to the majority of the populations. So for me, this is a systemic way we have to think, and these are the opportunities where geospatial is one of that, and with these guidelines and the the policy to come in a that will so open the the opportunities. So it is the opportunity in terms of the data, information, and its implementations for all of this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Datta. That's very insightful. Mr. Rajesh, is it a good idea? Can we go ahead to your session?
It's my pleasure to share this prestigious platform, and I am thankful to AGI for giving me this, providing me this opportunity to share my view. So the disruptive technology for clean water, supply of clean water to the consumer end, is a widespread and it's a key area where we can ensure the water supply to the consumer end. So initially what we were getting, because as on date we do not have any data at holistic level on a platform, that how much water we have, how much the pipe network we have in our system. So if we are talking about the clean water to the villagers, as per the Jal Shakti Mission website, out of 191 million household connections, as on this is the based on the census 2011, we have provided till date 51 million household tap connections. So which is about 26%. But as if we are going for urban area, we do not have any such data. But as per the reports of paper reports and this thing, about 90% consumers of urban area, they are getting tap water. But they are getting a tap water, and on the other hand, having a safe drinking water. That is a very different subject. And the disruptive technology can be utilized for this thing. Because the disruptive technology nowadays, it's a major aspect for hydraulic modeling, because previous days we were going for the topographical survey for modeling. But nowadays, with the geospatial data, we can utilize this new technology, because data and the treatment space and the consumer end. This may vary hundreds of kilometers. Sometimes at various levels, the source of water is in one city and the water treatment plant is in another city, and we are supplying water to the third city. So under this scenario, the geospatial data can be widely used, and which will be helpful for hydraulic modeling of the system. At the same time, now with such technology, we can have online access to the data, because now when we are supplying to the water to the consumer end, we can, with the geospatial technology, with GIS technology, we can have online access to the data. We can take steps to analyze, to capture the data online, and take the action, on spot action. This is a very much important. Like in other area, if we are getting with the geospatial technology, we can identify the critical water usage locations, real-time data availability, enable real-time and on-spot decision to ensure clean water through SCADA system. This is the updated technology and which we are using now. Resource management is also as a main part, because for water sector, we have a huge resource, and the resource management is really a task in water management, which is not possible manually mode. But with the geospatial technology, producing of maps, household mapping, identification of various types of customers like unauthorized customers, bore well, open well, public stand post, that we can represent on our geospatial platform, and it is very helpful for operation and maintenance. Asset management is a very important aspect in network management. So we can mark our all pipe locations, valve, fitting, flow meters, and our loggers data on the geospatial mapping, and we can utilize this data for regular operation and maintenance, which is a very critical aspect, because these are the hidden treasures, and on a offline mode, it is very difficult to go through and manage the data. So this is the very geospatial platform where we can use this technology, and we can have a very good operation point of view. So these are the some aspect, and this is the aspect where we have visible and controllable aspects. In addition to this, other factor is which is invisible and uncontrollable. Like water is an hidden commodity. We have pipe network, valve, and flow meters hidden under ground condition. We do not know the locations. So with latest remote sensing technology, radio technology, we can identify the losses, where the losses are there, what are the areas which can be the contamination source, where the actually pipe is pipe is under leakage. So with remote sensing, latest technology, we can identify these losses and contamination source points, and we can attack it. Otherwise, pipe network is a buried asset, and we do not have where actually the leakages exist. So with this latest technology, we can identify the leakage source and we can ensure the clean and safe drinking water to the consumer end. By this way, we can definitely, this technology can be very helpful, and we are using this technology at Nagpur project, and it's a very successful. So it's a great platform where even this platform should be utilized as a common platform for all, because as on date we do not have any data how much pipe we have in our India, state wise, even district wise. We do not have any record in our system. So with the geospatial platform, this data we can easily access and we can correlate with other departments, because water is not an independently. In addition to drinking water, wastewater management is also an integral part, because about 80 to 85% of supplied water is converted to wastewater, which we are draining out in a routine uses. And our existing wastewater system is not so capable to handle this data. So if we are using this geospatial technology for hydraulic modeling, not only for water, even for wastewater also, definitely it will improve our water supply system and will have a great economic advantage, as well as it will help not only for consumer but for government point of view. We can save a lot about public health, and we can ensure we can and another going ahead, loss of water, which is the main reason nowadays in India we are losing a lot of water, unaccounted water, NRW. So with the geospatial technology, we can design an MRU, meter reading unit, and with that MRU we can analyze, we can assess the NRW, and with geospatial technology, with the disruptive technologies, we can calculate the NRW and take action to recover the losses. That is the major aspect which we are using in our project, and I shall recommend that this technology shall be used for other projects also.
And I'm starting to feel the pressure on time. We have one more panelist. So my idea is to go through all the content, and let's hope that we have some time for some discussions. But I definitely want to go through each and every panelist discussion. So without further ado, Mr. Ajay, please take it away.
I thank you, all of you, for adding a person from the field. I would probably focus more on the problems at the field we are facing. So disruptive technology has definitely great advantage, and especially in Jal Jeevan Mission, to economize the project. I believe firmly that whatever technology we use as an engineer, we should first of all be economical, efficient, and then effective. And from the field, what I'm feeling, the technologies are still available at a much higher cost and not really very reasonable. And return on investment, if I want to take and calculate on these things, are not possible in the 10 years time, and they are not adding much as far as the investment is concerned, especially if we talk about the SCADA and other things. So in the field, we have to plan multi-village schemes using surface water or groundwater, as we have been discussing. GIS, remote sensing, AGM maps, and all those surveys have been used in the state of Madhya Pradesh for planning and MVS versus SVS. In MVS and in surface water, the cost of production of water is ranging between 15 rupees per kiloliter, whereas the groundwater, it is about 3 to 5 rupees per kiloliter. But the major challenges which we are facing is in planning those things, because as we said, in agriculture, about 85% of the water is being used. And if you go for the groundwater, then the dependability of the source during the peak demand period, that is in summer, to ascertain that becomes a major challenge. And yeah, so source sustainability, how do we do it? For that, recharging of the tube wells, these are the key issues which has to be taken up by the panels, because it's a good platform where we have the persons from the field, academicians, as well as the people from the industry. So in my opinion, the per cubic meter cost or the per capita cost of the project, that should be the basis of selection, and the disruptive technologies, this challenge should be handed over. One of the things which I would request this forum to go ahead is take up the projects in consultation with the different states where we have the very high cost of production of water, and use these technology for economizing those things in terms of per cubic meter of cost of production, as well as the per capita cost of production, so that these technology can be tested at a higher cost of where the cost of production is very high, and it is easily proven in terms of reducing the cost of the project and cubic meter cost of construction. This is one of the problem which from the field we are facing. Then we have also used HGM maps and Survey of India sheets which indicates critical, supercritical, overexploited zone. We have used them as a 4 layers. Then we have the surface water bodies integration formula for deciding the recharging, then deciding which scheme we should go for multi-village depending upon the forest covers and all that. So it has definitely helped in project planning. But make it more user-friendly, probably the data sharing and the cost of production at the first stage we should have an integration with all the 3 pillars of this industry. That is the government, the field executing officials, and scientists from the academic institutions, and those who are manufacturing and using these technology. I think if we are 4 clubbed together, this would give a win-win situation for all of us. Academicians would be able to reduce the cost, give a solution. Industry would be getting a much better market, and the field official would be able to produce the things at a much cheaper cost. Then the challenge which we are facing in the field after execution is regarding the cost reduction for of water. Surface water has a higher capital cost and operation and maintenance cost. How these disruptive technologies can be used for reducing these costs should be worked out and thought of. Then we have to have waste reduction, as it was noticed in the previous discussion. The waste is in the form of leakages, theft, tapness corrections, and the technology, older technology being used. So wherever I feel DPR should be freely available to the industries and the academic institutions, and wherever there's a cost which is higher than the normal production cost which is coming for that state, could be looked into as a pilot project, and a good technological input into it would reduce it, and the phase-wise application of the cost could be done. Then we have groundwater which is cheaper. Now probably if someone as a pilot project we can
sorry, we just have a minute or 2 to wrap up, so sorry to cut up.
No, I'll just wrap up. We have to think groundwater is cheapest and surface water is costlier. Israel is exporting and giving much more per acre production using efficient water management. We in India with 800 to 1200 mm water are not probably giving that much of production. So how water management could be done more efficiently using disruptive technology, GIS, and this whole water management should be like asset management, should be with one department, and repetitively we are doing one thing or the other. To give you an example, I was in the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. We have built the concrete roads, kilometers of it. Now with water line, we will be removing them and rebuilding them. So how much amount we have wasted? So if they those things would have been geotech. That time it would have been planned, and now you'll be doing receivers. Then you would be going underground cabling. So geotagging and geospatial technology could give you an insight and cost of construction of these. Probably in that cost of laying one thing over the other and rebuilding it, you would be able to give a permanent house with surface service ducts and all that. So probably I feel using these technology for efficient planning of infrastructure of a complete village should be done. Then per capita cost of complete infrastructure management in the company should be thought of, and this should be presented to the government, so that instead of keeping that person or a village continuously in pain for 10 years, first for road construction, then for water supply, then for sewage, then for electricity, probably we develop where we have the return on investment and we are continuously taking loans from the various banks. So return on investment means economic upliftment of that thing, that village. I think that should be the aim of using disruptive technologies, in which we are able to develop with descending order of population or descending order of the cost, so that the return on investment is fair. So I would sum up and with a request that if this could be thought of and presented in the appropriate forum, this would make the disruptive technology much meaningful in terms of investment planning and return on investment, and at last economic upliftment of the villages for which we are trying.
Thank you, Mr. Ajay. That was really a very clear perspective on ground. Considering time frame, this is really not just to summarize, because and doing complete injustice to this session, because this is such an important session that I'm completely realizing that the time frame we allotted to it is extremely low. But just to summarize, the bottom line, which I could pick up, is a couple of things. One is that we as a geospatial industry should look at this from a holistic manner. We should not look at it just from a lens of a geospatial technology perspective. Mr. Ajay, you emphasized the fact on being cost optimized, and I'm sure that having geospatial technologies inbuilt and having them optimize the entire routing as well as having the entire data backdrop can actually help optimize cost and actually bring in integration of SCADA technologies and other technologies into this entire fray will actually also add a lot of perspective. Mr. Rajesh, you also brought in a lot of fact about reuse of the water, quantification of the water, and again, having this on a geospatial platform actually helps understand what is the quantification, how much water is coming from which direction, how much are we actually flowing into the river, how much is wasting, how much we can actually get back. And sir, Dr. Datta, thank you so much for putting the larger perspective, especially on the SWAJAL program and the 5 key points that you actually brought in, including the technologies like the gravity anomaly. And we should be implementing these technologies, and as you rightly emphasized, in a holistic manner, looking at the project from an end to end. So, from as a geospatial person, I feel like as we have created technologies for telecom, where we do clutter maps, we create DHU, we create a data set purely for telecom, we should be creating a data set and we should be assisting the water-based technologies also from a similar direction. So with that, and we are 1 minute over, but I'd like to thank the eminent panelists for all their wisdom and sharing their thoughts. And thank you so much.